So my first Olympics that I went to in Atlanta, I came 7th. It was a learning process. And I thought, well, I'm still getting to terms with what's required to be tough and to be strong in this world. But okay, I can do this. I'm going to go to the next Olympics. I'm going to do another 4 years of training 3 times a day, 7 days a week, 49 weeks of the year. So I did all that, and nobody could have been tougher. And by that measure of, who's the last woman standing and who's going to get all the training done, I was top of the rankings. But when it came to that Olympics, I finished 9th. And that caused a big crisis for me because, I had done all of this training to a very high standard. I had physiologically moved on. So my strength, my endurance, my power, all of those measures had moved on brilliantly. But, that kind of forced me to see that performance was broader than that, and to start realizing there were aspects that I hadn't developed or hadn't had space to develop that were important for me to unlock a fuller performance, or to unlock kind of the rest of my potential. And so by taking a step back, by talking to some different people, and by also understanding now this sports psychology shift, I started to kind of realize that I could develop in different ways. So particularly my mindset was a big area that I just hadn't invested in beyond that kind of initial who's the toughest piece. I hadn't really explored different ways of thinking, of stretching myself, of challenging myself, to work in different ways, to work with others, to be open to different perspectives, rather than just improving myself all the time, to be improving myself in a much broader set of ways. And it was a sports psychologist that really helped me to reframe things when I then came back for that 3rd Olympics. And in particular, actually to kind of move away from the result, because to come back again after that kind of critical crisis moment, if you like, of coming 9th, I had to recognize that I could come 9th again. It's perfectly possible. I could come 9th or even 10th or even 11th or even 12th. And that's how many places there were to qualify for at the Olympics. And I also now knew that people who came 9th could be incredibly committed and dedicated and with great potential. And so I sort of saw it in a very different light, and I stopped demonizing that, if you like, and thought, well, I still want to win. I still want to do as well as I possibly can, but I have to accept that there's possibility that I could come in any of these other places, and really, really good people will. And it's important that we have all those good people in all those other places, because that's what allows us all to kind of use each other to move on. So rather than fearing that, actually kind of seeing that as that's what's going to help me to perform, and to also think about reframing it in a different way so that it wasn't only about the result. Because at that point, I might not get selected again. I might be injured, and I certainly might not win. So the psychologist asked me, what else are you going to gain if you come back and go to a 3rd Olympics? And that question to me was unbelievably helpful. And it's a question I use now in coaching. If you're not going to hit the metrics you want to hit, and in 2020, hardly anyone is, what else have you gained from this year? And that was what I went back into that Athens Olympics with, the mentality of what are the things on a daily basis that I'm gaining, even if I'm not top of the rankings, even if I've had a kind of, poor day in terms of boat speed. What are the other elements that I'm developing in terms of my mindset, how I'm managing pressure, how I'm managing failure, how I'm connecting and communicating with those around me? And that broadened out the set of areas that I was developing on a daily basis, which then, of course, contributed to my performance on the water and led to me getting the best results of my career.